What was Mr. Rohde's reaction to the decision?
Yes, good afternoon to you indeed. Jason Rohde looked straight ahead of him in the dock as the judge then of course found him guilty of murdering his wife and then also of essentially covering up the murder to look like a suicide. Now just a bit of the backstory, of course Judge Sally Hlophe early on described this as a love triangle which had ended up in tragedy at the Spear Wine Estate in July 2016. You would know that the altercation between Jason Rohde and his wife Susan came about as a result of an affair, an extramarital affair that he had had with a work colleague. And of course, just hours after he, as a property mogul, had addressed the gathering, his work gathering, of course, Susan Rohde's body was found partially hung on the doorknob of a bathroom of the room that they shared. This court having found that there was indeed a very vocal argument that broke out about his infidelity, which then led to a physical fight between Jason Rohde as well as his 47-year-old wife Susan. This court has rejected Jason Rohde's version that he found his wife, that she had committed suicide, saying that all the evidence of the state, including the forensic evidence, as well as witnesses such as the handyman from the Spear Wine Estate, praising also the work of police, saying that it has taken this court to the point where they found beyond reasonable doubt that Jason Rohde is indeed guilty of murder. Now, the National Prosecuting Authority has welcomed this judgment. Of course, it's one of quite a few this week where perpetrators of heinous crimes have been found guilty. And joining me is the NPA spokesperson in the Western Cape, Eric Ntabazalila. Eric, you just now described this judgment as a victory for the National Prosecuting Authority in the fight against the scourge of violence.
Yes, it is. Unfortunately, it comes at the background of unfortunate incidents, but we will take it. It's a victory against the scourge of domestic violence and against women and children in this province, which we all know it is very rampant. The statistics speak for themselves, but it's something that we try our best to fight in the courts.
The court found that Jason Rohde lied, that Jason Rohde covered up a murder, staging it as a suicide. The judge had particularly harsh words for the charge of obstruction of administration of justice.
Yes, thanks to Advocate Louis van Niekerk, because that's what. And it was, listen, make no mistake, it was a very difficult case. And he had to try and prove everything that the accused intended to kill his wife. And he did kill his wife, although he tried to cover his tracks. Like we said, there's no such a thing as a perfect crime. There will be a mistake made out there, which our police officers will try and find, and will gather the evidence to ensure that people like him get prosecuted and sent to prison.
Thank you very much, Eric Ntabazalila, the Western Cape spokesperson for the National Prosecuting Authority. I can just tell you too that Jason Rohde's bail has been withdrawn. We saw him being led down to the holding cells here at the High Court in Cape Town. We do know that the matter has been postponed now until the 21st of November because sentencing procedures are then expected to get underway. Of course, Defence Counsel for Mr. Rohde had asked that his bail be reinstated, citing his young children, saying that he was not a flight risk as he had handed in his passport to police, saying that he had been cooperating with all the authorities since he was arrested. This judge having none of that, saying that she takes all those things into account, but at the end of the day, Jason Rohde is now a convicted murderer and convicted of a serious crime of having killed his wife.
Okay, Vanessa, thank you very much for that report.